a society is a good society when 80% of your children go to public run school. If a child is scoring 97.6% and from a financially challenged background, imagine that child in a little well-off family and going to a known private school. When a man earns little extra than whatever he is earning, he would certainly or 90% will spend it on himself. But if a woman earns even a single rupee, she will spend it on her children's education.
Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bell. I'm Sudipta Dhruva, co-founder of School Chameleons, and today we are joined by someone very special who stands at the intersection of public administration, education reform and social impact. Deputy Municipal Commissioner Education at the Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation, Dr. Prachi Jambhekar. Namaste. It's so wonderful to have you here, and so welcome to Beyond the Bell with us.
Thank you.
Today, you oversee 1,100 BMC schools and over 3 lakh students in Mumbai.
Yes.
That's not administration alone. Right. When you first took over this responsibility, what were the challenges you faced?
When I first took over this charge as the BMC education, I was not aware where I'm going into, frankly. I could actually see the kids blossom into, that's the opportunity, that's the responsibility I thought that is come to my way, that I could contribute a little bit and make them a good citizen, good children, becoming good men and women of the society. Of course, it's tremendous work. There is a lot of things to take care of. Many others would have this kind of prejudice that now I call it, that BMC schools will be, dingy or not so good, or, the kind of not very up to mark. It's not true. That's what when I visited few of the schools, I realized. But yeah, the first thought was I didn't know where I'm coming into. The sheer magnitude is so huge. But then I'm really grateful that I got this opportunity.
No, and I'm sure the children in the BMC schools and the whole BMC system is really lucky to have you. Now, you've spent over 2 decades in public administration, not just in education, but also working on poverty alleviation,
Yes.
women's empowerment, and on the whole social development.
Right.
So you've seen firsthand how inequality enters child's life far before they enter a classroom.
Right.
And you talk about dignity for every child, right?
Yes.
So tell me, do you think schools acknowledge that reality enough? And what are they doing about it?
Children are very wise. First of all, we think they are very small. They don't understand. It's not like that. They understand. They, draw inferences from the various things. They can connect the dots. So, obviously, yes, they have seen how, their parents are treating each other, or how the other community is treating their parents, or how their parents are treating the community. Many ways. They are all like absorbing it. One of the teacher was telling me that she took a session with the children. I think there were 7 standard kids. She has given them, all of them, a paper. And say, you write a letter to your parents. Anything that you want to tell your parents, but you could never really able to tell them, talk about it. Anything you can write. That session was, madam, was like, eye-opener for the teacher also. One girl in 7th standard, her father was, I think, a rickshaw driver or something, auto driver. And then she wrote that, Abbu, you always bring sweets on our birthday, but we know that we can't afford to get sweets on your birthday. So when I grow up, I will get sweets on your birthday. So that was, like really, it really melted me. If the children are thinking in this fashion, I think we are on the right path. We take sessions for children. So we deliberately take these sessions for boys also. Boys and girls.
Yeah.
Because the boys also need to know how to behave when they grow up. So the boys also need to learn and understand that it can be your friend, it can be your sister, wife, mother, whoever. You can't touch her without her will. You can't beat anyone. But I think we have to constantly work on it and make them a good citizen. Good adult, like, who is compassionate, who is sensitive. That's what we are doing, guys.
So important. While I'm talking about inclusion at large, so we've talked about gender right now a lot. What about learning disabilities, So how are these being handled within the BMC system?
In BMC, we have some 19 schools. It's a special school. For special children, in a sense, they are mentally challenged. They have different sets of skills to be developed. They can't really speak, or maybe movement is a challenge. So they have some helpers. It's a different set altogether. But many of the children from these schools also give this NIOS exams, and it at their own pace, whenever they want, whenever they are ready. It's an inclusive classroom. It's not like that they are separate. No, it's not like that. In fact, that gives an opportunity to other children to learn how to be
More
compassionate. So if there was one girl who is deaf and mute, and she's using her aid and that hearing aid, but her requirement is the teacher needs to look at her and speak. Then only she will understand the lip movement. So the teacher very nicely explained to all other 40 students, this girl needs this. I can't look at you and teach. I will look at only her and teach. But then you should accept. And I'm telling you, all the children willingly accepted that. Nobody objected on that. So, without any much efforts or long lectures, that value is imbibed.
And that's going to hold them for the rest of their life.
For the rest of your life. Yes, absolutely.
We know that 43% globally, as per recent statistics, of children are not reading age appropriately. At the 5th grade level, they are all not reading age appropriately. And in fact, School Chameleons, we did a project which is called the Blue Bench Project, where we worked in Sangli with about 500 teachers around age appropriate reading. You talked about the FLN.
Yes.
Right? So can you tell us a little more about why you think it's so important?
Yes, that's a very close to my heart project. When I was talking about 10th standard result to some of the principals where school results are not good. So those teachers told me that, madam, these kids come at 9th standard directly to us and they can absolutely not read. If you are struggling to basic reading, you can't expect them to have good marks or pass or whatever. So we did a project in January 25 to April 25. Those 4 months we conducted an experiment on 2nd standard children. So we have around 33,000 2nd standard children. So we tasted the KG section outcomes of Nipun Bharat on 2nd standard children in January 25. And we were shocked because 35% children knew nothing. So the basic Anka Dhyan or Akshar Dhyan was missing. And then our actual work started. Then we developed an in-house software where every child's every answer is marked whether right and wrong. So we analyze those questions, what is not right, what is many children can do, what many children can't do. Then if in one school out of 40, say 6 children or 7 children are struggling, then it's not on the children, you need to work on the teacher. So we made conscious efforts to send the administrative officers there to, to see how they are teaching and if there any course connection needs to be done. All that has been done. March again we took the exam for 2nd standard. All this was recorded. Every child's data is recorded, analyzed properly. And so we know in which child needs what, who is struggling at what level. So the teacher would also know that. We found that children are really it was getting hard for children to express. We realized that, we worked on that. And in April 25, we took our last 4th exam. That was on the 2nd standard portion, the outcomes of Nipun Bharat that got tested. And I'm very happy to tell you that 85% student achieved more than 90% marks.
Wow,
and
that
like the
really
2-digit number were left in 0 to 35. So we actually pushed them. Every single child was pushed, because that's the base, that's the foundation.
You can do that in that first couple of years, then the rest of the year you don't have to worry.
Then their journey will be smoother. So then looking at that, the pilot success, now this year in 25-26, we had that for first, second, third, fourth, all 4 standards. Now, this served me 2 ways. Earlier there was not a pat on back on the teachers who are doing good, who are sincerely putting their efforts, right? And then there was no one to ask that if you are not doing your job sincerely, there was no one to ask why you have not done. Here, you could single out the teacher who was doing well and who are not doing enough, right? So that pressure I could create, ki you have to perform, your children have to perform. And it is just basic, all children are good, unless until you teach them, they will do good, right? So even the first standard exams we started post Diwali. Second, third, fourth we started from July onwards this year. So the first standard teacher already knew that their children will be tested in November. So all were equipped, you know. And apart from that, I should tell you this, it will be injustice to the teachers if I tell only this story. Earlier when we started it, it was like one more burden on the teacher, you know. But when you see the children progress, when you see it happening in front of your eyes, it gives immense job satisfaction even to the teachers. It was very welcoming, encouraging. So this year I don't have to push them. First year, of course, I pushed them. But this year, you know, that was so overwhelming. I have some shots of some children who are reading like this. She can't read garden. She was saying GARDEN, something like that. So no understanding of the concept, what she is just reading. And after this in April, she is reading a full passage, understanding it and then giving answer to the teacher. So it felt very good for the teachers also. And that's how I think that FLN model has worked.
Fabulous, you know, you've combined accountability, you know, for the teachers along with motivation. So, you know, while you're giving them more work, you're also motivating them to do that work, which is actually a fabulous leadership quality. We were talking about, you know, while we were talking about FLN, and I know that one of the things that you've been really promoting and you've been talking about is project-based learning. But my question is that, do you think teachers are ready for it? Because see, finally it's going to be run by the teachers, right?
Our teachers do all kind of job. It's not just teachers, it's parents, career counseling, then, you know, your emotional guide, support, everything. So I was amazed when we started this project-based learning, because it's not just rote learning, it's application-based learning. This year was the first year we started the science exhibition in BMC school. We gave them like some 4 or 5 basic topics to all the wards, and we asked the children of 7th and 8th standard to develop their own projects, and there was an overwhelming response beyond what we thought. It was very difficult to judge. So many teachers came with so many ideas, so many students came with so many ideas. They made their own projects, they explained their research, they made their all the stuff. And then the finals, there was a display from all 24 wards, the first number they displayed. What beautiful models and what beautiful ideas they have come up with. One was solid waste management, what you can do. Somebody has come up with the traffic management and how sensors can help. You know, at the age of 7th and 8th, I don't think I was thinking in those lines maybe. So yes, project-based learning, maybe for few years you might think it is difficult, but finally that is the way forward.
You know, we talk about creativity, and you've said that that's one of the topics that you believe is really important. Do you think our society at large ready to deal with out-of-the-box thinking today? And I don't mean only solutions.
Right.
It's a different way of looking at things at large.
So I think even if you are ready or not, is going to come.
That is true.
When we were growing up, you know, we have never even heard a word called app developer.
Correct.
Right? Now every other engineer is app developer. So just 20 years back, we were not even aware that this kind of profession is possible, right? So we are not really sure what the kids are going to do when they are in their employable age, say 25 plus. So another 20 years, we have no clue what they are going to do. So how do we make them ready?
Yeah.
I said we have to make them ready with the skills of logical thinking, out of box thinking, good communication skills, and then they will find their own way. They are not dumb. They are very smart.
Very smart.
So you just need to, channelize how the way they think.
Yeah.
And then they will find their own way. So the creativity part plays a big role in this kind of scenario when you don't know what the kids are going
Dealing
to
with
do.
change. And
Yes.
then the world is changing really fast.
So if you inculcate those values, if you nurture those qualities, like many children are very good with drawings and designing. Design is in such a good, huge career option. It's very satisfying. It's very challenging at the same time. So if you can teach that to the children, I'm sure
Then they have the skill sets to deal with it.
yes, they'll be future ready. They will find their own ways.
I know you received your doctorate. What was your motivation? Your mother?
Yes, she was absolutely my motivation, no doubt about it. I was state in charge for the gender budget scheme called Suvarna Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana in an urban areas. So that time I used to interact with all the self-help groups across Maharashtra. I got the chance. Of course, later in Mumbai also I got the chance to work as assistant commissioner, and I was dealing with 8,000 plus self-help groups and all. So I could see what's happening and what is the challenge.
There was such an interesting topic because you've talked about sustainability of self-help groups in an age of globalization.
The foundation is the financial stability. It's not everybody's job to be an entrepreneur. And that's what exactly we are expecting from these self-help groups, to be entrepreneurs. But we don't know how to, make them ready. So there has to be some handholding, some nurturing at that level also. How to make them sustainable and how to make entrepreneurs out of them. That's what my topic was. Or one universal fact that I have come across working all these years. When a man earns little extra than whatever he is earning, he would certainly, or 90% will spend it on himself. But if a woman earns even a single rupee, she will spend it on her children's education.
So true.
So they have invested their money, whatever they have earned, in their education. So if we are talking about Vikasit Bharat, it has to be this Vikasit women and, empowered women.
Very true. And on that note, right now you're working with a whole team of women, right?
Yes.
And is that easier to work with? Tell me the truth.
It is always, I would say it is always a pleasure to work if you have Honorable Mayor, Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Education Committee Chairman, everybody is women.
It's been really nice. Okay, rapid fire, are you ready?
Sure.
What were you like as a student?
I was very outgoing student. I would participate in every possible thing in the school, like elocution competition, dance, quiz competition.
So teacher's favorite.
Yeah, always. My teacher really inspired me. They have absolutely given me such a hard rock foundation. I still remember when I was in 10th, one Mr. Jambhekar was our maths teacher. And he was asking all of us what we want to do after our 10th. And I was kind of sure that I want to give public service exams. And when I told my sir that I want to go for arts and I want to give these exams and I want to be a public servant and civil servant, and he said, yes, of course you should. And he said, I think you can be a very good leader and, very good officer. And we will be very happy to call you as a chief guest at the annual day function.
Oh. And did they?
And yes, and that was like, that really set the fire. I have to do this, that my school feels so proud to call me as a chief guest. And eventually they really called me as a chief guest for my school. And that was really the dream come true for me.
One myth about BMC schools that you wish people would stop believing.
That don't think that, they are inferior.
Don't underestimate them.
Don't underestimate it. And the myth is like, they are inferior. No, if a child is scoring 97.6% and from a financially challenged background, imagine that child in a little well-off family and going to a known private school.
Completely.
So, yeah, don't underestimate that.
One thing that children today need more of.
Compassion.
Lovely. One thing that schools can do less of.
For BMC school, they should stop thinking that they are lesser or they are inferior. And for private schools, I would say they can think not really a commercial activity, school as a commercial activity.
Okay, what do you think is that one thing that Indian education gets right?
Many people might not agree with me, but to learn in your mother tongue. So I have learned in a Marathi medium school, 12th standard. So I think the thought process, the clarity of thought that you get, maybe with the mother tongue, or maybe it is my case. That
Just the connect
Yes.
that you have with your,
Yes,
with your roots
yes.
is higher. Very nice. The last one is education at its heart should. Complete the sentence.
There is a stark difference being educated and being literate. So many times when somebody is like honking like crazy for no good rhyme or reason, you can be literate but not educated. So education at its heart should be make people educated, not just literate.
Okay, before we close, first time I've heard someone come in and say, hey, you know what, come join me in creating a better BMC school system. What is that one message that you'd like to leave for the audience?
There are a lot of opportunities. So I have read somewhere in one article that it says a society is a good society when 80% of your children go to public run school. So it's not just BMC's job or state government job. So many people should come together for this. And so it's not just always just financial help.
Yeah.
There are so many other things. You can give your time, you can give your expertise. So whenever I connect with any CSR proposals, I tell those companies that, I just don't need you to cut a check and, then finish it off. No, I want your involvement in my school. You come to our school, talk to our children, talk to different career choices that they have. How was your growing up years? There is so much to learn from you for our children. I want your involvement and commitment also.
The larger question that we were addressing today is, can public education become a space not just for learning, but for dignity, creativity, and possibility? And after talking to you, I feel like the answer is a resounding yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much for being with us today on Beyond the Bell. And thank you for watching Beyond the Bell with me, Sudipta Dhruva, and continue reading Free Press Journal for news that matters. Thank you.